Arya didn't want to be there. She stood in the doorway of the community center's art room, her prosthetic arm hanging stiffly at her side, wondering if she could still turn around and leave before anyone noticed. The accident had been 8 months ago, a car crash that took her left arm and most of her confidence with it. Her sister had signed her up for this workshop without asking, insisting that Arya needed to get out of the house, needed to do something besides stare at the walls of her apartment and wonder who she used to be. The room smelled like clay and coffee. A dozen people sat around long tables covered in paint tubes, sketchbooks, and lumps of damp ceramic. Most of them were laughing, their hands busy with brushes or wire tools. Arya felt her chest tighten. She didn't belong here. She couldn't even hold a pencil properly anymore. Then a voice cut through her spiral. First time, she turned. A man stood beside her, maybe in his early 30s, with tired eyes and a kind smile. His right sleeve was rolled up, revealing a sleek prosthetic arm that caught the light as he shifted a backpack on his shoulder. Behind him, a little boy with messy brown hair peeked out, clutching a stuffed dinosaur. "Yeah," Arya managed. "I'm not sure I'm staying." The man nodded like he understood completely. "I said the same thing 3 weeks ago." "But my nephew here," he ruffled the boy's hair. "He likes the clay, and I figured if he can show up, I can too." The boy looked up at Arya with wide, curious eyes. "I'm Theo. Uncle Lucas doesn't have a real arm either, but he makes cool stuff anyway." Arya felt something crack open in her chest. Not pity, not awkwardness, just honesty. Lucas laughed softly. "Subtlety isn't his strong suit. I'm Lucas, by the way, and Theo's right. I'm still figuring it out. Lost mine in a construction accident 2 years ago." Arya introduced herself, and before she knew it, Lucas was guiding her to an empty seat at his table. Theo plopped down beside her, already pulling a lump of clay toward himself. The instructor, a cheerful woman named Diane, welcomed Arya warmly and handed her a block of soft terracotta. Arya stared at it, her hands, both of them, frozen. Lucas didn't push. He just started working on his own piece, a lopsided bowl that kept collapsing on one side. Theo giggled every time it fell, and Lucas grinned unbothered. "See? Failure's part of the fun." Arya watched him. His prosthetic arm moved carefully, deliberately, but he didn't hide it or apologize for it. He just worked. After a moment, she pressed her right hand into the clay. It was cool and forgiving. Her prosthetic hand rested on the table, and she tried to use it to steady the clay, but it slipped. Frustration flared hot in her throat. "Try this," Lucas said quietly. He slid a damp sponge under her prosthetic hand. "Gives it a little grip." Took me forever to figure that out. It worked. The clay stayed put. Arya felt a small, surprising flicker of hope. Over the next few weeks, Arya kept coming back. Lucas was always there, patient and steady, never treating her like she was fragile. They worked side by side, experimenting with different grips and tools. Theo became her little shadow, offering to carry her water bottle or hold her sketchbook without making a fuss about it. He just helped, the way kids do when they haven't learned to be uncomfortable yet. One afternoon, Lucas invited her to his place for lunch. "Nothing fancy," he said, "but Theo's been asking, and I make a decent grilled cheese." His apartment was small and cluttered with toy trucks and half-finished art projects. Arya learned that Lucas had taken in Theo 6 months ago after his sister, Theo's mom, died suddenly in a car accident. He was doing his best, juggling work and parenting in his own grief, but some days he looked like he was barely holding it together. "I don't know what I'm doing half the time," Lucas admitted as he fumbled with the sandwich press, his prosthetic hand struggling with the latch. "But Theo deserves better than me just giving up." Arya stepped closer. "You're not giving up. You're here. That's everything." She reached over and steadied the press while he latched it. Their hands, both real and mechanical, brushed together. It wasn't awkward. It was just them, figuring it out. They started cooking together after that. Arya would chop vegetables with her right hand while Lucas managed the stove. Theo set the table, proud of his job. They laughed when things went wrong, burnt rice, oversalted soup, and celebrated when they got it right. Arya realized she hadn't felt this light in months. maybe longer. One evening, while Theo colored at the kitchen table, Lucas asked her about the accident. Arya had avoided talking about it with most people, but with Lucas, the words came easier. She told him about the driver who ran the red light, the surgeries, the physical therapy that felt endless. She told him about the shame she carried, the fear of being a burden, the anger at her own body for not being what it used to be. Lucas listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said, "You're not a burden, Arya. Not to me. Not to anyone who matters." She looked at him, this man who had lost so much and still showed up every day with kindness and hope, and she believed him. A few weeks later, Arya had an idea. She'd been sketching adaptive grips and tools in her notebook, small modifications that made art supplies easier to hold for people with prosthetics or limited hand mobility. She showed Lucas nervously, expecting him to humor her, but his eyes lit up. "Arya, this is incredible. You should share these with Diane, with everyone." She did. Diane was thrilled and asked Arya to lead a workshop on adaptive art techniques. Arya's design started circulating in the community center, helping other people who struggled the way she had. For the first time since the accident, Arya felt like she had something valuable to offer, not despite her prosthetic, but because of everything she'd learned living with it. Lucas was there the night of her first workshop, sitting in the back with Theo, both of them beaming with pride. Afterward, he walked to her car, and under the glow of the streetlights, he took her hand, the real one, and held it gently. "I'm really glad you stayed that first day," he said softly. "Me too." They kissed, slow and careful, and Arya felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Whole, not because she got her old life back, but because she'd built a new one, with Lucas, with Theo, with herself. Months passed. Arya moved in with Lucas and Theo, and their little apartment became a home filled with laughter, art supplies, and the occasional disaster in the kitchen. They celebrated small victories. Theo's first solo bike ride, Arya's new commission for adaptive art tools, Lucas's promotion at work. They held each other through hard days, too, the ones where grief or frustration felt too heavy to carry alone. One night, after Theo had fallen asleep, Lucas and Arya sat on the couch, her head resting on his shoulder. "Do you ever think about what life would have been like if things had been different?" she asked. Lucas was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes. But then I think about Theo, about you, about everything we built together. And I realize I don't want a different life. I want this one." Arya closed her eyes, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing, the warmth of his arm around her. She thought about the woman she'd been before the accident, the one who thought happiness meant perfection, control, independence at all costs. She didn't miss that woman. She liked who she was now, someone who asked for help, someone who gave it freely, someone who knew that love wasn't about being flawless. It was about showing up messy and human and real. "Me too," she whispered. And in that small, imperfect moment, surrounded by art and love and the quiet hum of the life they'd chosen together, Arya realized she was exactly where she needed to be.